Hey, we're back. It's the movie club with friends. What is this week? Like 8?
Are we counting weeks?
Are you counting weeks?
I'm just thinking. I guess it must be week. No,
It's like 16.
Yeah.
We've been through now twice.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, this week we watched. I cannot pronounce it, so Garrett pronounce it.
What? Apocalypse Now.
Apocalypse Now. I see it weird. I say it weird. So this was a.
Say it wrong.
Say it wrong.
Okay, Tarzane.
Go ahead.
Anyways, this was a Garrett pick. Garrett, why'd you pick it? And then how'd you like it?
I picked it just because the reason for most of my movie picks are just movies that I want to watch, and this one I'd watched a long time ago. And I didn't really remember it. So I just like, all right, well, it's like one of those classic movies, right?
It's definitely
Always
on
been,
like the top,
like a high popularity.
Yeah, top 10s on or top 100s at least for like. I'm sure it's in Internet Movie Database, like top 100 movies.
Yeah, so that's basically what I'm doing with my movie picks, is going through and watching movies that I want to watch that are a little bit older, that are just kind of like classics. And that's why I picked it. And I thought it was very strange. I could do like probably just a whole episode of me and just spending an hour talking about Vietnam War, because it's one of those wars that's not really talked about a lot in like American history. But one thing I really liked that they did in this movie was whenever they were on the helicopters with the cowboy helicopter guy, the surfer guy, like that whole, like the entire time they were there, they were just like bombarding you with this helicopter noise the entire fucking time. It was so goddamn loud. That's one thing I really appreciate about that specific part, was it was loud because like that's what it would have been like if you were there. Because I mean, I hear about like these stories from soldiers that were like on the front lines in World War II and stuff. Like at the Battle of Verdun, there were like 60 shells being shot every second. It was like drum roll, but then like double the drum roll. It was just constant noise and just this bass overwhelming you.
Yeah.
And then just, I don't know. I don't.
What's your rating?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, my rating. Let me look at the rating system. Scroll up through all these pictures.
How do you usually put
I think
it?
I think I would give it between a 6 and a 7. Yeah, I'd give it a 7. I think I enjoyed most of it, but had reservations. Like the end, like the last maybe like 45 minutes. Once they got to Colonel Kurtz's little home, his base
home.
Yeah, I was just so confused. I didn't understand what they were trying to say. It's just so I don't understand it. I don't know what else to say. Like, it's just so confusing watching the end of that.
So like they get there and it's like they're all following him because they all think he's like a great man, but I guess like they've all gone crazy too.
Yeah, but see, he wanted to bomb all of them. In his book, it said bomb all of these savages or something like that.
So,
because the reason, one thing I thought actually at the very end was Kurtz was like trying to find a way to end the war, and the way he was ending the war wasn't moral, but he was justifying it as moral because it would end the war, and less like the war would be ended basically. But do the ends justify the means? I guess.
Like, I don't know if this is exactly how I see it, but like maybe he hadn't fully lost his mind and he did understand what he was doing was pretty crazy. I don't know. I don't know either, honestly.
Yeah, it's just because I mean, even then, like
So what he
I
was
read-
doing, he went in and he was teaming up with like the Cambodians, and then he was going back into Vietnam to like attack Vietnamese
Vietnamese.
Yeah.
Vietnamese people, and
Yeah, Con.
also Americans.
I don't think he was attacking Americans.
No, I don't think so. He was
attacking-
targeting the South Vietnamese, which were supposed to be allied with the Americans.
Yeah, which is
Right.
who the ally were.
Right.
And yeah, I don't. It's just so weird. I still don't understand because, well, I guess whenever they were giving the briefing with Harrison Ford and that general, they said that he assassinated like 4 South Vietnamese leaders who he thought were part of the North Vietnamese, who thought he were Viet Cong.
That they were double agents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he thought he was doing the right thing for the South Vietnamese, the U.S.
So I think what it's supposed to be is essentially he went up the same river as Martin Sheen, and he went through probably a similar journey. And I guess what it's supposed to, this movie's about is like, so Martin Sheen going through the same journey, and like you think he's gonna lose his mind too or whatever, and then just like join him or something, like this great man. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't. Do you have anything else to say?
No, not really.
Okay.
Can't think of anything else.
Because
I say things as they pop into my head.
yeah,
But
So I'll go next, and I had a really hard time putting a rating on this movie because I really did enjoy it, but I don't know what the fuck, like you, I don't know what it's, I don't know what, I don't know what it's about.
Right?
yeah, exactly. That's what.
Like
I
what?
liked it, but yeah, I don't know what I'm supposed to get out of it.
What are they trying to tell us? That like,
That the war was fucked.
Yeah,
well, and that's
basically.
and I totally get that from this whole thing, but like,
That's like, so like that's like my thing about like most I don't know, like, but most like war movies, like I think that they are incredibly necessary because I do think that they shed a light in what people deal with while they're out in war. But like at the same time, like I think that they're all like that. Like at the end of the day, like what did they teach you? What did they show you? How awful or how heroic or like how, you know what I mean? Like it's just it's all, for me they're very.
That's where you're watching Mel Gibson war movies.
They can be so, no kidding.
yeah.
But like they are going to be similar in that aspect. I think that they're culturally very necessary. And I think this movie is intense on how they'd show like what.
Yeah, they definitely didn't really hold back, and it's a very brutal movie.
I
So
think
brutal.
it helps show why so many of our Vietnam vets became the way that they were after coming home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I think it's, yes, exactly. That's like such a good point, Jared, because like after, and I'll be honest, like I am the first person to say that I avoid war movies like at all costs. Like if anything, like how Jeff and Tanner feel about Jeff with westerns and Tanner with horror movies, that's how I feel about war movies. Like I don't watch them. Like I refuse. Like I've only ever, like in my mind, Forrest Gump was too much sometimes. I'm not even kidding. Like I hate that part. Like that part was intense for me as a child, and it made me like avoid it at all costs. Like that's how I feel. Like I don't know. It's just so much. Anyway, keep going.
I liked how it was structured. Like it was structured kind of the same as like The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, where they're going on this journey and they're coming across like just random people or random occurrences, and you just kind of get to know the characters, but then they kill off all the characters except for 2.
Do you really feel like you got to know them?
Like kinda.
I don't think you did.
You get to
like,
meet-
I-
you get to-
you knew where they were from and like
yeah.
Well, the one
their ages kind of thing.
the 2 you get the strongest feeling for their like who they are is Chef, and then the guy driving the boat, like the captain.
The chief.
The chief.
The chief.
I like how when he died, he really just tried to take Martin Sheen with him.
I know.
It's
I feel like he did that because he's like
He
you've
fucking
already cost
hated
me, like,
him.
2 people.
Yeah,
So just if I kill you, they can turn the boat around and no one else will have to die.
yeah. So I read a bunch of deleted scenes, and one that really stood out to me was so during the assassination scene at the end, before Willard enters Kurtz's home, one of the guards confronts him, and Willard picks up a spear to defend himself, and the guard picks up a child to shield himself. And then Willard runs the spear right through the child and into the guard. I think they should have kept that in. Because
I mean, I feel like they'd already showed his dedication to his mission whenever he just shot that woman that was like injured.
that was
Yeah,
that was my favorite scene, the boat scene, and we can talk about that after, but it's not even the dedication, it's just like all these soldiers have like lost their fucking mind, and like they're just not decent human fucking beings anymore. And yeah, like I think it just would have added more to the end, because when they're all like bowing down to like Willard or Martin Sheen or whatever, it's like he didn't really do much to really take the place as Kurtz. So I think that scene kind of really showed that he was a fucking psycho as well.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the boat scene, now that you mention it, Garrett, that was like my favorite scene in the whole movie. It was fucking intense.
I didn't really see that as dedication to his like mission, Garrett. I actually saw that as slightly, I don't know how to.
He was just
Slightly
getting.
civil.
I feel like he was doing it as whatever it takes for me to get upriver.
I did not see it like that. I mean, like, she was dying. I felt like, like it's kind of like when you shoot, I don't know, like you put them out of their misery.
Animal.
Yeah, exactly. Like, because
Well-
that's how I kind of feel. Like, if I was that injured and dying so much, like, I feel like that's what I would want someone to do to me. Like, I just want them to kill me, so I don't have to.
I saw it as not so much dedication, but he was just getting fucking tired of all the interruptions, and he just wanted to like just get this over with. He just
Yeah, I'd
wanted
probably
to
agree
get
with that.
there. Anyways,
Yeah.
Like Clean and the Cali guy. What's the California guy's name?
I don't even remember.
Yeah, I don't even
The
surfer.
surfer
Logan
guy.
Johnson?
The surfer
Lance
guy that
Johnson, yeah.
goes
Yeah, Lance.
absolutely batshit crazy.
Yeah, but he was taking lots of drugs while he was.
Yeah.
That's
going
just
on
not
over
a
too.
fucking like.
So I saw it coming, but I was most upset when Chef died. Chef was my favorite character.
Dude,
Yeah,
Chef
'cause
is
Chef was
you.
you.
Chef was you, dude.
Yeah, I guess. But I like the end when he is with Martin Sheen and they're first going into that camp, and he's like, "Dude, let me just fucking kill him. I'll just fucking kill him." And he's like, "No, I got this." Chef was a badass. I don't know what to rate this movie. I think I'm gonna give it an 8 or a 9 and a love.
Wow.
So let's say an 8.5, and I loved it.
Wow.
But at the same time,
You
I don't know if I
like it's a-
did. I don't know if I loved it.
I feel like if
I
we
would definitely
lived in
watch
the
it
time-
again.
I feel like if we lived in the time right after World War II, we might get a couple more of the references, but
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
40 years removed.
Julie,
Yes.
why don't you talk now?
Dude, I hated every part of this movie. Like, just the whole thing. Like, this was not my movie at all. Like, I just hated every second of it. It was not like I did not have a moment of enjoyment other than seeing Harrison Ford for 30 seconds. Like,
Yeah, I was like, oh shit, Harrison Ford's in this movie, and then he's not in that movie.
yeah. No, this was not my kind of movie, and I will give it credit. Like I'm having a difficult time rating it because it's the same way I feel about like every single war movie I've seen. Like and I haven't seen that many. Like I avoid them at all costs. But I've seen Dunkirk. I saw that tank movie. What is that tank movie called? I don't remember. But like the one with Shia LaBeouf. Yeah, the Shia LaBeouf tank movie. I can see. I mean, like Dunkirk won so many awards, but I still like did not enjoy any part of that movie. But and same thing with this movie. Like I can see like it. I think it's a masterpiece of its time. You know, some of the scenes and everything that like God, like this is a horrific but perfect display. I'm sure of like what happened. I understand why it's a classic. It's just not my movie. Like it like really messes me up like mentally for days. Like these kinds of movies aren't good for me.
Yeah, the imagery is a lot to take.
Yeah, even the descriptions. I still like I said, like it has a serious mental impact on myself, and I still don't feel good. Like I hate like when I open like the IMDb or Apocalypse Now, like I just want to forget that I ever watched this movie, and that's how I feel about most war movies. So I'm not saying specifically for this movie. Which I find ironic though, because I read that Francis Ford Coppola, or the director, he wanted, like, apparently I read on a trivia that he wanted to commit suicide several times while filming this movie.
The
Like,
director did?
I feel like everyone involved in this movie had some serious fucking problems while they did this movie.
Yeah. No.
Well, a lot of these guys didn't do a lot after doing this movie.
Yeah, I know, like
Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah, Lawrence Fishburne.
Well, Lawrence Fishburne, sure, but that's one person. A lot of these guys, they've been in like 5 movies.
I mean, Martin Sheen was in The West Wing. And that was like
Martin Sheen's been in a lot.
Season-long TV show.
Okay, even most of these guys died in their 50s, so yeah, they haven't been in a lot of things lately. But
oh yeah.
But no, like they were in lots of stuff. Like these were famous fucking people. I just think it's ironic that the director wanted to commit suicide, because it's like literally, like, this movie is insanely depressing.
Yeah.
I read a lot of like negative things about Marlon Brando, who played...
I thought he was Kurtz.
Yeah, Kurtz.
I thought he was great.
Yeah, but apparently he
didn't learn his lines or something.
Yeah, he didn't learn his lines.
He ad-libbed everything.
And he showed up so drunk, and he was just gonna like. He told the director at one point he was just gonna steal the money and not do it, and he was paid the most, even though he only got 15 minutes of screen time.
He was like the biggest name, though.
Yeah, he was just an asshole, though. Like, fuck Marlon Brando. I don't care if he's dead. Like,
okay. Really quickly, like, the thing he said when he first talked to Martin Sheen, where he's like, "You're not a soldier, you're not this." What did he call him?
You're a clerk.
Or a delivery man?
Grocery.
Yeah.
Like
that was... I really liked that line. I don't remember it, but I really liked it.
I will talk about, I think my favorite and also my least favorite character is probably Clean, played by Lawrence Fishburne. I thought, God, like, what, like, to him, like, I saw, like, my uncle at 18 years old going to get, you know what I mean? Like, he's just a young dude in a place he shouldn't be. He's not ready to be at. Like, I mean, and the boat scene, like, where, like, you see him, he just, he's just so fearful for his life at all times. They're constantly on edge. All of them are going crazy, and he just attacks like this innocent family. And I thought that his character was done really well, and I thought it was.
Well, she was a fucking idiot to run at him.
Yeah, no, it was. Well, she was running at the puppy, but yeah, and technically at Chef, not at Clean. But
no, I know she was running at his friend, but like in that situation, just stand there. Oh, they find the puppy? Who cares?
I agree too, but she's like looked really young also. You know what I mean? Like, and like, if she cares so much about, like, that's what I mean though. Like, this is like a time of war. Like, and people like you're gonna have like normal like reactions as like, a person trying to develop, and you see that happening in a horrific situation. Like, one of like the worst scenes, but also the if you're a normal person and not Julie, the best scenes is whenever they're in they get to like that bridge where it's just like they don't have any commanding officer.
Oh
and
man,
you
that's
see-
so
Fucking
good.
chaos.
God,
Yeah.
that scene was just awful. But like, yeah, it was great. Like, but like when you have like that guy who's just solemnly sitting there, and they're like, "Hey, dude, like we need you to take this guy out." He's just like, "Yeah." He's just like, "Do you need us to light it?" He's like, "No, I got it."
Yeah, and
Like,
he's just
I'm
so
fine.
he's
He's
so
just-
good at
he's
what he
just,
does.
Yeah, but he's also like just this broken man. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
just broken. I don't know. Like this movie is awful and intense. And like I think I would have, like the ending of the movie was by far like I feel like the movie was great up until when Marlon Brando showed up, and that whole stuff was just crazy. Like I can see why it was great, but like then it just got so crazy, and then I
Well,
definitely lost it there.
It definitely is more about the journey.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of these things where they do hype up, because the whole thing is like he's hype. You're getting hyped up to meet this guy, and maybe they hyped him up too much, like this meeting between these two characters. I thought that whole scene was good, and I thought the ending was great, up until it's just like he just turns off the radio, so he's not gonna bomb them, and then it just ends. And you're like, I was literally like,
Going back down river, Mike.
what?
He finished his mission.
I know, but I was like, but like, what happens after? Like, does he get back home even, or is he gonna get shot down? Are they gonna run out of
I
fuel?
It doesn't matter. I mean, like,
Yeah.
Like, and I guess it doesn't matter because the story was over. But like, I just like it just cuts to black, and I was like, oh, for fuck's sake!
You already watched 3 hours, and
I wanted him to either bomb the shit out of them, or him to go back to like those old guys and like Harrison Ford and like punch one of them in the face or something and be like, it's fucking
there is
done.
like 4 different endings for this movie.
Okay.
I think the original, like after like the one that played in theaters, over the credits, they had explosions going off, and
Okay.
everyone thought that he did call it in and he did kill everyone. Coppola was like, "Oh no, it's not my intention at all. I didn't want anyone to get that out of it. I added the explosions over the credits for aesthetics." Like,
Yeah,
that's just it.
and I think that's a good thing to go by.
yeah. Oh God, this movie so much. Also, Lawrence Fishburne was apparently only 14 when he was in this movie.
Yeah, I read that too. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, he lied about his age. Which God, I can't even imagine filming this movie and being that
'cause
age.
I read something else where it said he got addicted to heroin
Yeah.
while he was filming.
Yeah. No, and
So, addicted to
Martin
heroin at
Sheen
14.
had a heart attack while filming the movie. Like, this movie was too much. Like
Yeah.
I am torn between it being one of the greatest movies, like I don't know, probably like an 8, like wow, great movie, would recommend, and also giving it a number 3 because I didn't enjoy any of it. It was just a really bad time.
Yeah.
So like literally that's how I feel. Like because I personally had the worst time. Like worst time. But I see how it's just fantastic. So I'm gonna give it a 5.
Okay.
If I go in the middle of the two of them, then the average is 5. So there you go.
Yeah. I don't know. Even thinking now, I'm like, I love when like he just knew the time was right to kill him, and he just goes into serious mode. He's like coming out of the water, and he's got all the makeup on and shit.
Oh my god. Oh, god.
I was like,
why
this
is
is-
movie-
He really was like this badass fucking assassin.
And did you know that when they killed that cow, it was an actual cow?
Yeah,
They
I
actually
think
slaughtered
so.
a cow.
yeah,
it looks
it,
like it.
it looked
looked
really
very
real.
real.
You could see the
Yeah.
life going out of that cow's eyes.
I wish it wasn't real.
Really hated that part too.
I fucking hated that part.
I didn't enjoy that. I didn't like that part at all either.
God, like all the
really
I
bad.
just-
even when they were in like the school, like after like when they had the Flight of the Valkyrie song scene and they were surfing, and like you have that one guy, like like that has his legs blown off and he's just screaming.
Yeah,
I'm
dude,
just
that
like,
was
I just want to forget so much about this movie. I'm just like letting all of you guys know, please don't do this to me again. Like it really messes me up, like truly.
Yeah, I don't like those. I'm not going into it. I was like, I'm not gonna like this movie because I also do not like gross imagery, and especially like realism, like war movies based in like reality, because like it's just. I'm a soft boy, you know. Like I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like seeing that stuff. It's part of the reason why I don't like seeing like gore movies because it's just not fun for me. Anyways, let's go with a Jared.
All right. So, this is a fucking weird movie. If I was allowed, and I know I'm not, but if I was allowed, I'd give this movie a solid 2 question marks out of 10.
No, you can give it a 2 if you really want. I'm just
No,
shocked.
2 question marks, Mike.
2 question marks.
Just like question mark out of 10.
Oh.
7 though. It was between 6 and 7. If I had to give it an actual number, I'll go with 7. I liked it. It was weird as shit though. So before the
You have to
mission
tell us
started-
about the 3-hour movie too.
And I think that's what they were going for. Maybe is to
Yeah, so,
leave
like-
you feeling like a little.
So before he even gets his mission, he's all fucked up, dancing around in his room, basically naked. They have to sober this guy up in the shower, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if that part was in your version of the movie or not, but...
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so he's already messed up, we know this. He got his divorce because he couldn't even talk to his wife after his first tour or whatever. So they get this crazy guy, and they send him on a mission. And it starts off okay. They got the weird surfing general or colonel, where the fuck he was.
That's where all the quotes I've heard is from that guy, man.
Yeah, right, pretty much.
Napalm in the morning. Yeah.
But then, and it just gets weirder and weird. Like, you see that part, and you're with that guy for a while, and you think, wow, this guy's pretty weird. But no, at the end of the day, he's one of the more normal people that you'll meet in this movie. The farther up this river they travel, the weirder the situation gets.
Yeah.
It's just descent into madness, effectively. And I guess you can see how Kurtz became who he was in some ways, just by watching how Martin Sheen's journey went. I don't know. It was a very odd movie. It drove me slightly insane. I watched 3 hours and 15 minutes of it. Did you guys have the French plantation part?
Yeah.
Okay.
No. French fries?
No,
we didn't have
Johnny
that.
watched the 3-hour movie.
Oh,
yeah.
that's why. Oh, that's why I said in line chat, I was like, I want to smoke opium and fuck a French girl.
Oh, that was very
Once I realized what happened, I'm like, that scene, there's no way that was in the 2.5 hour. Like, what is the purpose of this? I understand they buried the kid there or whatever, but
What? So what
That's how
happened?
they buried Clean?
yeah.
So right
They
after
meet
Clean
French
guys.
people on a plant. The French people on a plantation in Vietnam somewhere, or the Congo, where the fuck they are, and then yeah, that's where they like. Oh, yeah, we always show aid to our allies, blah blah blah, and they give them a full French military whatever burial, and then they have dinner with these French people. He fucks the French maiden of the place, and yeah.
So it's like this whole like family, and they end up getting like Martin Sheen just goes, "Why don't you just go home?" And they're like, "This is our home," and they get in this like big long argument of like, I don't know how the French army has always failed, and the Americans could win this war, and blah blah blah, and like they all just get in this huff, and they all leave the dinner table, and then the wife or whatever is just like, "Let's go fuck." And it's just, it was really weird.
Who fucks her?
Martin Sheen.
Yeah.
They smoke opium and they fuck.
That's so weird.
Anyway,
Weird.
I don't know if Kurtz was a genius or just insane. He seemed to form a cult, which was pretty cool. I wish I could do that. And yeah, so good 7 out of 10. I would probably need to watch this movie a second time, but I don't want to do that right now.
This is, I think, the first movie we've watched that I haven't picked that I am going to rewatch.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm just gonna pass because I don't
Yeah.
even know what to say at this point. So, good pick, Garrett.
Yeah, let's hear from
Shitty pick, Garrett.
Gabriel.
I would lean more towards bad pick as well. So I was really conflicted because my journey through the movie was towards probably the first 2/3 of the movie. I was like, okay, this is a really good, realistic depiction of war and the crazy shit that it can do to people. Like, for instance, by the way, I loved the Flight of the Valkyries scene where he's like, yeah, we put this shit on and it scares everybody. Or,
Yeah.
I thought that was really funny. And but then you could go down there and he's telling these people to go surf, and while they're fucking fighting, it's just chaos. And I just wonder how many years that fucking guy had been there that was normal to him. So going through all that, it was a great depiction of the terrible parts of war. Clean dies. I'll mention really quick that his death with his mom saying she wants him to come back home in the background of his dead body was pretty brutal.
Yeah.
It was super really sad.
That was
especially because the way they showed his body was like he had his neck back, his body was all contorted slightly.
That was
made it more gruesome looking.
That was his real mom, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Mrs. Fishburne.
Yeah.
Mrs. Fishburne. So let's see, Flight of Valkyrie. So after those 2/3 ended, and we get to the lieutenant. What was his name?
Kurtz.
Kurtz.
Colonel Kurtz, or I think it was. That's where I got confused. A little disinterested because it felt like they were trying to be really deep with him going crazy, and it was, in my opinion, he just went crazy, and people thought he was a god because they're in a part of the world where they probably don't get as much.
Well, like they were like savages still in loincloths, right? So
exactly, that's what I'm saying. They're not very intelligent people that they don't get to be educated and everything.
Yeah.
Babe, that's they're not as intelligent because they're not educated.
They were literally in loincloths, Julie, with bows and arrows, living in a temple. They were uneducated.
There's a difference between uneducation and unintelligence, though.
Well, I would think with many generations of that, they'd probably have a pretty large bar to get back to.
Okay, let's just move on.
So I don't know about that. So it was just he was just went crazy, but then he was able to impress them in some way, so he was their leader, and that's essentially what it was to me. It felt like they just elongated it for so long that I actually dozed off a little bit. I was getting a little bored during that part of the movie. The ending was also kind of odd. He kills the guy, but then I guess maybe it's because they're savages again, and they just like are in awe that he's standing up there. That he killed a god, I guess, and they let him go. I thought it was funny that Surfer Boy was like gonna stay there.
Yeah, he was like one of them. Yeah, I love this scene where like they're killing the cow or whatever, and it's all like these like Cambodians or whatever, and then you just see like the white Surfer Boy like dancing around too.
Yeah, exactly. And then takes him and they leave. So, like I said, the last 1/3 I didn't really enjoy. I would give it a 6 out of 10 and probably disliked.
Interesting.
And one last thing I want to bring up, and maybe you guys disagree to a huge degree, but Martin Sheen's character was so boring and vanilla. Like, he didn't have any personality the whole fucking movie. Everybody else had personality.
Broken, that's why.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it, he's broken, but he didn't have much dialogue half the time. They just, I don't know, it was just I couldn't connect to him at all.
So he, like, to compare it again to like the Good, the Bad, the Ugly, he's like the Blondie character, and you're following this journey through his eyes, but it's the people around him that are more interesting.
I feel like it might have even been they wanted him to be like a vanilla template because they wanted to show how maybe Kurtz got to his breaking point and how like a normal person might react.
I agree with that, except the very end, like he became a quote unquote badass, which it was hard for me to take serious. I don't know, because I just didn't enjoy his character throughout the
Well,
whole movie. He was kind of just there, and
He
people
was like
around
this
him were doing crazy shit.
assassin, and he just was like,
Yeah, I
I'm
thought,
going, I'm
like,
going into assassin mode.
That was what he was training. Like he was Spec Ops assassin. Like
Yeah.
It just didn't seem very impressive to me, I guess. I don't know.
yeah, I mean he only killed one person before getting to the boss. So
Yeah. Killed
Well,
one guard. And...
I feel like if it made too much noise, like they would just like stop their little ritual and be like,
Also-
kill this guy.
Also, correct me if I'm wrong, because, like I said, I wasn't paying attention as much to this part, but didn't Kurtz, like, in a way, ask to be killed?
I think so. Because he's
Yeah.
like, if I'm to die here, I want someone to bring my son the information or tell my son about me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he said,
So-
like, I want you to be that person. I think the
Even like the guy, the photographer, he said like I think he said like he knew he was dying. Like Kurtz knew he was dying.
Yeah. Because, I mean, again, Kurtz wrote in his book, like, bomb all of them. And I think he expected to die in the bombs, but he didn't want Chef to be the one to do it
Well, I think
because he wanted Martin Sheen to be able to go back to his family.
yeah, he was the man chosen, right, to kill him, and
Yeah.
he's either was gonna join him like the guy did before, or kill him. And I don't know. It's so weird, man.
Yeah.
So one last thing I have to add before Johnny talks is
Jeff hasn't talked.
Jeff
Oh,
did
wait.
not watch
Jeff
it.
isn't here.
Yeah, he's
shit,
also
that's
not
right.
here. Yeah. Also,
Get your thoughts together.
yes. So when the first person you come across, right, is the surfer, and you think this guy's fucking insane because all he wants to do is like surf and party or whatever. But as you go on, he becomes like, yeah, like I think what you said, Gabe, like Jared maybe, like he becomes like the most normal person that they met. And and really, I think him trying to party and surf and shit, it's like he's not fully devoting himself to this fucking war. He's trying to keep himself out of it fully so he doesn't become insane like Kurtz or something. But I also really liked how whenever there's always explosions going on around him and everyone was always ducking and he like never flinched.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, really
one
quick.
minute.
I thought you were talking about. You said surfer dude, so I assumed you were talking about Lance
Sorry.
Johnson. You were talking about
The cap-
Lieutenant
the
Kilgore.
cap,
Yeah,
yeah.
Kilgore.
Yeah.
Yeah, Robert Duvall. That's
Yeah.
Robert Duvall, you guys. That's crazy.
One thing I will say really quick before the end of mine is, for it being a movie in 1978, I thought the explosions and all of that type of activity was really well done.
I'm
Oh, definitely.
assuming they
Almost-
were all really done. Like I feel
Oh,
like that was
yeah, no.
definitely real napalm.
Yeah, no, it was very impressive to me. That was entertaining me through most of the movie. It was all the realistic, like it felt real realistic, and I had to imagine, man, they must have had a huge fucking budget for this.
What was the budget?
31.5 million was
That's
the budget.
fucking huge back then.
Yeah.
It was only.
I think
it's
one
also.
of the
only- sorry.
one of the quotes that Coppola said was, "Someone said I'm down here with too much money, too much bombs, and too much time." Something like that.
He was also only supposed to take 6 weeks to film, and it took him 14 months, I think. Is what I read. 16
Yeah.
months.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a month and a half, turned into 16.
It's just dumb. It's just crazy. Right. Also, 6 weeks is just not enough time. Like I feel
Yeah,
like
that's a very short amount of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Johnny,
Are we ready?
we're ready.
We're ready.
All right.
Like-
Know our minds. Talk about the art.
No. So, I'm fairly sure all of you probably understood this, but like, did it not seem like it was a metaphor that they were traveling up a stream and they were traveling through the same path,
Yeah.
coming just like the person that he's supposed to be going to assassinate?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was going through the same
Yeah.
journey and he was becoming
Yeah.
that man.
Yeah. But from the beginning, you could already almost argue the fact that he was like that man because of like what Vietnam has done to him as well. Because like at the very start of the movie, he's batshit crazy. Like Vietnam.
Yeah, he was already related to. Like
Mhm.
I think Willard Martin Sheen's character said like a sentence in the beginning that was just like when he first gets the assignment and he's reading the first little bit of evidence, he's just like, he's like, I understand Kurtz like way more than I understand anybody else. Like he says something like that, and I'm just like, yeah.
No, I guess I'll give this movie a 6 and a dislike. There was a lot of build-up, and I'm not sure if I really liked that about this movie, but it was made in the 1980s, so like as expected for those like old-fashioned films, there's not a whole lot of like I wouldn't. Okay, so what I have been. My stepdad owns this movie, and he's like watched it a few times whenever I was around, but I never like ended up actually watching it with him. And I've seen like the cover art for it, and all I see is just the guy that only has 15 minutes of screen
Marlon
time at the
Brando.
very end.
Yeah.
And so literally the entire movie, I was just waiting for this guy to pop into the screen, and I was severely disappointed of how long he was actually a part of this movie. And I think the best part of this movie was whenever they finally got to that part of the Cambodia or whatever. Like I do appreciate the build up and like the aspects of war that they were trying to show and kind of make you realize that like this is just, I don't know, it's a really bad war. Like you can't really imagine it any way else.
Dumb and barbaric.
Yeah, chaos. And I don't know. I think I just whenever he finally got to the Kurtz, it was super. I don't know. Interesting, crazy, batshit crazy, like weird. There's just not a way to like sum it up into a few words.
I'm surprised you gave it a 6. So what did you like about it?
I really appreciated the way that they like portrayed, like they did the lighting, did the they showed the scenes really well. Like there was no like at the very start of the movie, it was what's the guy's name? What's the main character's name?
Willard.
He's like first waking up, but like he was having a dream of like Vietnam, and all you can hear is helicopter noises, and then it shows trees, and then it shows his fan, and then it shows like bombing, and it's just like going through the motions of that, and then all of a sudden like those trees just like start on fire, and it's just like burning, and that's just like it seemed peaceful at one point, and then it turns to chaos. And so like I appreciate how they can translate that really well, because I mean Vietnam, there's beauty in there that like obviously the surfers had to find. They had to make their own fun. In the Playboy, like I thought you were gonna talk about that stuff, Mike. How like Playboy came.
60s hot really isn't hot for me. Like the cowboy with like the short hair and
that was kind of. But I don't know.
I like the one that was dressed up as an Indian. She was cute.
That scene is just so intense too, though, because like you just
they're like attacking them at the end.
Well, God, like so frightening. Like I feel like it's frightening for the women, in my opinion, and I'm just like, and it just shows you the state of the men in general. Like,
oh yeah. And did you like, whenever he like offered the drums of oil for like a few minutes or like an hour with the girls or whatever, like, did you notice how kind of like rapey that scene was?
It was so rapey. The one's literally talking about how she's like, I don't want to do any of this. They make me do all the stuff I don't want to do, and then they're like,
Wait.
"Who's you?"
Wait, I don't think this wasn't in
Yeah,
the
this
first
wasn't
movie.
in the first thing.
What happened?
Oh,
Can you
what?
explain to us what happened?
Oh. Well, to sum it up, like they came across this like abandoned area of like other people, but like the Playboy helicopter was landed over there, and so he like offered up a deal of like, we'll trade you some fuel for like an hour with the girls, and like 2 of the guys were in there, and they were like trying to like get with them, and all the girls wanted to do were like talk about their feelings or talk about their like ambitions, goals, and one of them was just talking about how like she hated how like they're making her do some of this stuff, and she doesn't want to do it anymore. And the Lance, the surfer, he's like looking in her eyes, and he's just like pulling her shirt down, getting her clothes off of her, and she's just continually saying stuff like that. But like he does not like care, it seems.
Yeah, I like
Pretty
it
brutal.
because she's talking about it. She doesn't want to do this shit anymore, and she feels gross and stuff. And then like Clean's in the window looking at him, and he's like, "Who the fuck are you?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm next in line."
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's so gross, man.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's no, and like that's just so like the sad part about it is that when you really look into like history, or like if you specifically look at like the women affected by war in history, like all war, like there's so many casualties of rape every war. Like it's just crazy, like thousands of women, like all the time. And like that's like one of the reasons like that scene is also just horrifying to me, because at the end of the day, like these people are so much stronger, and you know, like, and there's just a few of them, and oh god.
I really liked the lighting when around Marlon Brando, Johnny, like when he was like in the shadows and like you just kind of see his face and shit.
Yeah, so that's what was on the box cover of like my stepdad's. Oh shoot, I had a picture of it. Yeah, it was really well done. I loved the harsh contrast of like the hard light coming in and like hitting the side of his face, making him look like something otherworldly, and like all that you can hear is just like his insightful like leadership and trying to like, I don't know, make himself sound sane, but obviously he's like completely insane.
Yeah.
It was
which I think is ironic, because the reason why they had him in dark so much was because of how drunk he would show up.
Oh really?
That's funny.
Like I don't even know if it was intentionally artistic like that.
I thought like it was going to be something where he would finally show his face and it was going to be a different guy, or like he'd be like superly like disfigured or something. But he's just,
or he would show
kinda
his face
fatter.
and it would just be Martin Sheen.
Oh
Martin Sheen
my
had transformed
god!
into Kurtz.
Without even realizing.
Yeah.
Well, shit. All right. Does anyone have anything else to add?
Just one more part. Do you remember whenever they were getting off the helicopters with Kilgore, and there's just that one like film crew, and the guy's like,
"Don't look at the camera!
Don't look at the camera! Don't look at the camera! Keep going." That was actually the director.
That's funny. Okay.
Yeah, and it also, it's kind of funny because a little bit of Vietnam history here. This was like the first war that was just super aggressively covered by the media. Like in the middle of Saigon during a firefight, like a reporter would just be right next to a soldier while he's shooting and reloading his gun, like interviewing him.
Yeah.
And like there'd be reporters that'd be like, "Oh, there's this one famous video of this reporter giving a report live from Vietnam, and he's got like a medic on him, and he's like, "Oh, I guess I'm shot here." And this is
no wonder it was
he's
protested
just
so much then. Like, holy fuck, I didn't know that.
Because none of this, because it wasn't censored by the government either.
Yeah.
Like for the most part, a lot of just like raw footage made it into the living rooms of Americans.
Because like as much movies as you can watch about war, like I think it does affect you in the way that they're trying to, but like to actually see something happen like that, like every so often you'll come across like one of those like. Did you guys ever watch like Faces of Death?
No.
So it was like this documentary quotations of like just actual footage of like people dying in like accidents and stuff.
Yeah,
and
no,
to
I hate that stuff.
actually see it actually happen is so much worse. I remember seeing one where a guy's on a motorcycle and he's going across like a suspension bridge and one of the wires snaps and it cuts him right in half. And it was one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen in my life. Literally I think it's Faces of Death. I think. Anyways, so to have that be on the news, people actually in combat and shit, that's crazy, man.
One of the most famous pictures to hit like basically every major newspaper was of like a South Vietnamese colonel executing a civilian, and I remember listening about it, and they said the camera shutter and the trigger on the gun were pulled at the exact same time. So you can see that the gun is in recoil, and it's a still picture.
Yeah.
And you can see the gun is in recoil, but you can also see like the side of the guy's head is kind of bulging, and
that's crazy.
That was in newspapers.
That's fucked.
So yeah.
Well,
Can you find me this picture? Like,
yeah, I want to see it too. Find it.
All right, 1 second.
So, okay, so next week, it's a mic pick. So when we first decided to do this, I had 3 movies in mind, and that was The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, Looper, and then now, 2001: A Space Odyssey. I don't know. Have any of you seen it?
The Space Odyssey one?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. I don't think. What, Julie?
Like I have, but it was a very long time ago.
So I don't expect any of you to really enjoy it. Maybe you'll.
I've always wanted to watch it.
Maybe you'll surprise me and you'll like it. But I think it's a really important film.
Ugh, it's 2 hours and 41 minutes.
It's 10 minutes longer than what Garrett showed us. So.
Yeah, and I did not enjoy how long Garrett's movie was.
But this is not a movie with gross imagery. It's with pretty imagery, Julie. It's very pleasing to the eyes.
Okay.
So yeah, watch 2001. Comment, rate, subscribe, all that crap, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Thanks for watching.
Goodbye.